Hey everyone, Kingdom Kid here with my honorable mentions, and yeah, I guess honorable mentions. I always think it's something else for honorable mentions is something else for my games of 2022. I mentioned this at the beginning of my top 10 games of 2022 that there were a lot of games. Like there were so many games that I played that I could have been a top 20, and there were so many games that I didn't play, so it could have been even higher and even harder to come up with that top 10. Although I'm pretty sure I had like at least my top three were narrowed down. My top three were at least narrowed down to what they were. I was like, yeah, this is my top three for sure. And I didn't know what order it was because I'm like, oh, how are they going to end? And then, yeah, that's what they were. So I did enjoy all the games that I did play, some more than others. And of course, there are a few games that I didn't play that I maybe would have liked to have played. So I'm actually going to start off with those games, the games that I didn't play first. And then I'll talk about all the games that I did play that I didn't make it on the list for one reason or another. The majority of the reason why they didn't make it on the list for games is because that I don't know. There's just some I don't know. It's just like I just didn't enjoy it as much as the ones in my top 10 for how it went. You know, that's really the number one reason why it's like, oh, that's always the things like, did I like this game better than this game? Like, no, I didn't. So I was like, and then it's like, and then when I picked the game that I put on, like, so it's like, for example, I put like, so game A is on the list, and then it's like, okay, all right, let's talk about game B. Did I like game B more than game A? No. So game B, and game A is like my lowest of the 10, you know. So game B is like, did I like it better than game A? No. All right, game B is going to be in the honorable mentions. Then game C is like, did I like it better than game B? And if I say yes, and then it goes, but did I like it better than game C or game A? And if I say no to that, then of course it goes on honorable mentions. So there's that. And then of course it's like, oh, game D. Did I like game D better than game B? No. Of course it goes in honorable mentions and such. So let's talk about the games that I didn't play. First off, we have Dying Light 2, Stay Human. I didn't play the first one. I is somewhat interested in it, but at the same time, it's like, I honestly don't know. The thing that gets me from this is like majority of the time I do like playing games in order, you know, so that's Dying Light 2. I would like to play Dying Light 1, you know, but I didn't do that. And then of course there's online trophies too with this kind of game, like, so that's one of the reasons. King of Fighters 15. I'm not a big fighting game person, although I will play the fighting ones every now and then. I don't know much about the King of Fighters stories either, so it's like it was still fine. You know, I did enjoy. I think they did have a beta, but I didn't get to join it in time, so I would have likely done that because I'm always interested in like these old school fighters. You know, King of Fighters, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all those games. I mean, even like I kind of wish I got into the beta for Street Fighter 6 because I'd be like, it looks beautiful. I'm not that big into, you know, like I said, I'm not big into fighting games, but it looks beautiful and I'd still love to try it, you know. Babylon's Fall, first of all, it was a games of service game, and that like it closed down in December. So right there and then, nope. It's like it was something that was like had so much promise, but then I think they announced, and then like in like the Game Awards of 2021 or like E3 of 2021 or something like that, they're like, oh, it's going to be a games of, or like a few months beforehand, it was like, oh, it's going to be a games of service. And then everyone was just went like, what the fuck are you doing? Square Enix, did you not learn when you did that with your Avengers? Which is, I think, the only reason why that one's still up and kicking is because it's freaking Avengers and if people like it. And I'll be honest, I like Avengers too, but like, nah, nothing there really got me to be like, no. Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I don't mind the Borderlands games, but I think I'm not. Although I'm like, it's a nice concept. It's like, you know, it's Borderlands with a D&D skin on it, which is pretty cool. I know I think this is of like a full-fledged game that was teased in like I believe is Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 had like a DLC of Tiny Tina's Wonderland type thing, so I think that's cool. But like I said. I don't mind the Borderlands games. It's just like I try majority of the time. Like I do like to complete games. You know, 100% get the platinum or 100% when they get DLC and all that stuff. Borderlands are one of those games that take fucking forever. That's why I'm never gonna 100% the PS3 versions and even probably Uncharted 4, but I'm never going to 100% the PS3 versions of Uncharted 2 and 3s because there's online trophies, and plus it's PlayStation 3, so I'm pretty sure the online is pretty much going to be done with that forever. So, but I got the platinum. That's all I care about for those games. WWE 2K22. I haven't played. God, when was the last time I played a WWE game? I think it was WWE 2K. Actually, it was WWE 12 before they went into the 2K games. I'm not too keen on those games. You know, I've never gotten a 2K whatever game for WWE, but they're just much like the Madden and the NBAs and all that stuff. It's literally the same game over and over again. That's why I'm very excited for the AEW Fight Forever game, because that's a game that's not going to be a yearly release. It's going to be coming out. It comes out and they're like, oh, we'll update it. You know, like, oh, here's a new wrestler. Here's new wrestlers. You know, I don't know if they'll be free DLC, or I hope it's free DLC. Depends on what the stuff is. It would be better as free DLC than, oh, you have to pay like $5 to get this character or whatever. Not a big deal. Saints Row, I don't mind. Like, I played Saints Row 3 and Saints Row 4, which were fine. And then, I don't know, there's something about this that didn't really grab me as much. I was like, it didn't look too appealing to me. And then, of course, all the bugs and everything afterwards as well. So it's like, oh well. Sifu, I was actually very interested in that game, but I just never got around to it. I didn't even buy it, even though it's a game that I'm kind of curious and like, yeah, maybe I should buy it, but just didn't get into it. Shadow Man Remastered, it's literally, I honestly didn't even know it was a game that came out this year until I looked through it all again. So, Nobody Saves the World, it's a game I've heard of. I heard of it, and I didn't know when it was out. I just know it was like, it was available for like Xbox and Steam before it was available for PlayStation and Switch. And I've heard nothing but good things about that, so it's probably a game I will play eventually. Windjammers 2. Yeah. Oh, I put Windjammers for whatever reason in that, so there you go. It's not like I don't mind the Windjammers games. I think I did play the first Windjammers games years and years ago, but yeah. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. First of all, that's a collection of Uncharted 4 and the Uncharted Legacy game for PlayStation 5. I think, and it's weird to say this, I think I could get those for free. For whatever strange reason, not that I really care or anything like that, because I own both of those games physically. First of all, it's a re-release of games that came out beforehand, so that would have been off the list anyway, since, yeah, I don't do HD remakes or masters of games that have come out beforehand, and I'll talk more about that. There's a couple more of those in here too. Chocobo GP, much like with Babylon's Fall, it was a games of service game, and it also closed down. So there's that, which is a shame, because the Chocobo GP game that was out in like the PlayStation 1 game, it was like, ooh, that was really good, but yeah, then it just went like, nope. Tunic, again, similar with Nobody Saves the World. Heard nothing but good things about it, but again, it's one of those things like, oh, it's only an Xbox only, but then it's like, oh, no, it's out on PlayStation and everything too. It's like, oh, sweet. Just didn't get around to it. Chrono Cross The Radical Dream Edition, kind of the same thing. I mean, it would have been a HD remake with just added bonuses. It's basically like Persona 5 Royal compared to Persona 5. That's why Persona 5 Royal didn't make my top 10 games of 2021. And why I didn't make my top 10 games of this year as well, because it was literally the PlayStation 5 version that just came out. So there's that. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Much like I said with Persona, Chrono Cross, and the Uncharted, it's basically, it is a Stanley Parable again, but with more stuff. So, and I didn't even buy it anyway. So, Nintendo Switch Sports. I don't know. This is something about that didn't really get like, oh, I was interested in it. I mean, it looks like fun, but it's like Mario Party. It's like, and yes, I do have Mario Party, but it's like, it's more better to play with people and friends and such. It's one of those kinds of games. Trek to Yomi. I remember being interested in that game, but then I completely forgot about it afterwards. I'm like, oh, it looked like whenever I watched it being announced or something, it's like, oh, it looks interesting, and then just completely forgot. And I'm like, oh, okay. Just one of those things. Evil Dead the game. It's Dead by Daylight. And yeah, I wasn't interested in it either. KO the Kangaroo, a platforming game. I'm actually somewhat interested in it. I might pick that up, so it'd be very interesting. Mario Strikers Battle League. I I was never really a fan of Mario Strikers. I was more of the Mario Baseball fan. I didn't mind the Strikers, the first one for the Wii, or was it GameCube when that came out? I can't remember. Either way, I did enjoy it, but I was like, I didn't like it as much as baseball, which I'm sure some people feel that way too. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. Not that I don't mind those old beat 'em up, side-scrolling beat 'em up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games. It's just like, again, just didn't have time for it. Neon White, again, nice indie game. It looks interesting. I need to actually like see how the gameplay works. Like I've seen people play it, but I didn't like see how they were like told like, oh, it works this way and such. So I might pick it up. Oh, excuse me. Sonic Origins. No reason. And I know it has some bug issues with it, but I think those all got fixed. Maybe, who knows? Klonoa Phantasm Revised series. Much like, again, with some of the ones I mentioned beforehand, it's technically a remastered of a game that was already out beforehand with PlayStation 1. And I actually do like Klonoa. I have played the first game before, so I definitely need to buy this game so I can play it again. As Dusk Falls, not PlayStation. Yeah, there it goes. It wasn't on PlayStation, although I was very interested in it. Cult of Lamb. I was okay. I was like, oh, it looks cute, but then it kind of reminds me a little bit about Hades, which is nothing bad about that at all. And I really like Hades too, but it's like, yeah. Multiverses. That's a fighting game that's like akin to Smash in a way in terms of gameplay, from what I've seen. And I know it's free to play, but I just couldn't get into it. Kirby's Dream Buffet. I didn't buy it for some strange reason, even though I love every single Kirby game. I think this is more like a party game too, which, no big deal. Nothing wrong with that. Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed. Much like I said beforehand, it's a remaster, re-release. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle R. Same issue. I didn't even buy that because I did try the demo. I couldn't get it, man. Like, even with normal fighting games, I just could not get this one at all. Last of Us Part 1. Much like I said beforehand with the last few games, it's released for the third time, so nope. Splatoon 3. Splatoon games have never really been my cup of tea. They look great, though. I will say that visually they look great, and I like watching people enjoy playing them, too, so that's nice. The Dino Field Chronicles. I did do the demo for that game. It just didn't go on because, I don't know, there's just something about it. I was like, it wasn't bad, but I feel like the difficulty was hard for no reason. Like, I think I did it on normal, and yet I was like on like, here, you're on your story mission, and all the enemies are like 2 to 3 levels higher than you, and it's like, what the fuck? So then again, I don't know, maybe I just need to have grinded or something. But in the demo, I don't know. I wasn't too keen on that. Valkyrie Elysium, same thing with Dino Field. I did play the demo for it, and I did enjoy it a bit. I don't know, just again, something just didn't click about it. And so I was like, I don't really need to get that game. Dragon Ball The Breaker, much like Dead by Daylight, and much like Evil Dead and Friday the 13th. It's one of those kinds of games, which is not my cup of tea, but good for you if you like that. Mario Rabbids. Sorry, I thought I saw something back there. Mario Rabbids Spark of Hope. That is an XCOM-like game, which isn't bad, but I'm like, not my cup of tea. Gotham Knights. I was somewhat interested in this game, but I don't know. It's just something to be like, I don't know about. And then, of course, they're having issues with it. I honestly don't care if it's like, oh, it's only going to run 30 frames per second. I'm fine. Like, obviously, yeah, is noticeable sometimes, but majority of the time, I don't really notice it, or that's not too big of a deal for me. But yeah, and then there were other issues too. So I'm like, okay. New Tales from the Borderlands. This one, man. Here's the thing. Tales from the Borderlands is my favorite Telltale game of all time. New Tales from the Borderlands is somewhat of a sequel to that. I honestly didn't even know that game was coming out until like the month it was coming out, which was October. And I looked at that and I'm like, oh. And then literally like the next day they released a trailer or something for that. I'm like, oh. And then I watched the trailer and I'm like, I don't know. I don't even think it's made by this. It might be made by some of the same people who made the first game, or the first Tales from the Borderlands. But I'm like, I don't know. And I think the only person that returns from there is Reese, which is unfortunate because nothing wrong with Reese, but it's like the way I played Tales from the Borderlands is like I wanted to see specific people too. I wanted to see Fiona. I wanted to see I can't remember Fiona's sister's name, but that would have been nice too, because how I played it, I had Fiona's sister and Risuke together. So I like that, and I really did. Goat Simulator 3. I have the first one. I haven't even played it yet. Sorry, I was playing with a marker. I didn't even play it yet. It looks chaotic fun. So there's that. Dark Pictures, The Devil in Me. It's all right, I suppose. I didn't play it, but I think this is like the fourth of the anthology series. Like the first 3 came out last year, or like 2 came out last year and 2 came out this year. No, I will put the other one here if it did. Yeah, no, all 3 came out like last year, or 1 came out in 2020, and the other 2, and then the next 2 came out in 2021, and then 2022 was that 4th one. I know. Front Mission First Remake. I'll be honest, I completely forgot that game even came out. Like I know I watched directs where they were like, did they even announce the release date of the first one? I like Front Mission, don't get me wrong, but then it's like I just completely forgot about it. So Marvel's Midnight Suns. I would have liked that, maybe not, because that is another XCOM-ish type game. So I might have enjoyed it, but yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I didn't get it. Dragon Quest Treasures. I should have picked that game up. It looks fun. I watched a little bit of it, so it looks fun. But it's majority of the times of the games that I didn't buy are either they're on stuff that I don't own, like Xbox, or it's just like one of those things where I was busy with some other games that came out, or it's one of those things that I kind of forgot about it. That's the majority of these. High on Life, available on something I don't have. There we go. Sonic Frontiers. It literally came out the day before God of War. And then Harvestella also came out very close to it too. It does look fun. It looks different from all the other Sonic games too, and it has good reception, so that's good. And hopefully the next one's better too. Tactics Orcs Reborn. This is the last one. I know it's like it would have. I think it's like a remake or a remaster of the old one too. So. Yeah, I mean, I think it is akin to somewhat like or it might be like the first game that not really inspired, but like this came out first and then Final Fantasy Tactics came out, which I love Final Fantasy Tactics. So, but yeah. All right, those are all the games that I did not play. And now on to the games that I did play that didn't make it for one reason or another. Crisis Core Final Fantasy Reunion. I fucking love Crisis Core. It's my favorite PlayStation Portable game, and there it is right there. It's a re-release / remaster. So there we go. Pac-Man World Repack. Same reason. Even though I never played the original Pac-Man World game. But that would have been a reason why I didn't go on there. Monarch. I did like this game, but again, it started being like, okay, which games that are like going to be for sure not on this list? And at first I was like, well, Monarch might just be my number 10 for a while. I think this was like before September or something like that. I was like, oh, Monarch. And then all these other games come out like, yeah, Monarch, you're not going to make the list. I'm sorry. It was fine and enjoyable, but there was just a random spike of difficulty too, where I'm like, all right. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. I love that game. Don't get me wrong. I love Lego games and I love Star Wars. It just didn't make it. Like, I loved all the other games. Again, majority of the reason why these games aren't going to make the list is because I didn't like them as much as the games that I did put on my list. And that's one of the reasons. The Quarry. It's okay, but Until Dawn was much better. And I mentioned this in my update video. After I was done with watching The Quarry or playing The Quarry, I watched someone play Until Dawn. I'm like, man, this looks better. The writing's better. The story's better. The characters are more likable. With The Quarry, there's like maybe 2 or 3 people that I'm like, oh, I like them. Or even 4. I don't know. And everyone else was like, a little mixed to me. Ghostwire Tokyo. I like the game. I did like the game. I did like the game. I just feel like it didn't, like, what's the word I'm looking for here? It didn't really, like, reach all my expectations for it that I thought they were going to have, Not that they didn't have, not that I had such high expectations for it, but even then, it's like, it's like, it didn't deliver on some stuff, so, yeah. Digimon Survive. I'll be honest, I did like that. I did like Digimon Survive. I did not like it more than Cyber Sleuth or Hacker's Memories Or did I like it better than Next Order? I don't know. I think I talked about this in my Let's Play of Digimon Survive. Did I like it better than Next Order? I think I think I like the gameplay better in Survive, and the story in Next Order wasn't that great either. The story in here wasn't too bad either. I did like the premise of it, so I think I like the story of Survive just a little bit better. Gameplay was actually a little fun in Survive, which I think I just said. The one thing about Next Order that I didn't really like is the whole. There's just random. You can have Mega Digimon. You can have 2 Mega Digimons, and you just still get your ass handed to you against one Ultimate, no matter what. And it's just like, what the fuck? So, I don't know. And then the whole. I don't like the whole. Oh, your Digimon either got old and they rebirthed, or they died and now you gotta rebirth them again. So, Next Order is going to be a pain in the ass to try to play them. That's all I'm going to say. Triangle Strategy. I like Triangle Strategy. It's probably not my favorite of the whatever. Oh, I completely forgot about Daily Life. Daily Life is also made by Team Asto. I think that is the same people that make Triangle Strategy, same people that make. I think they also make Bravely Default and Octopath Traveler. I forgot that game came out. Oh my god. Yeah, no, with that one, I'm like, okay, they are literally doing nothing. Did they also make Harvestella? I honestly don't remember if they made Harvestella or not. I don't think so, because the font's different. It's a different font, so. But anyway, Triangle Strategy, I guess that is kind of like an XCOM type game or a Fire Emblem type game, and tactics game too, in a way, I think. I liked it. I liked how it splits up the story at Pits. It is so weird to me too. It's like it doesn't matter. Well, unless you're going for the true ending, then it does matter where you're going for. But even then, if you take the path for the true ending, then you get a chance to be like, oh, you can like, oh, we must use the scales, or no, we don't use the scales, and not using the scales is the true ending, but using the scales will lead you into 3 other endings. So, yeah, it's interesting, and I liked it. So, but again, just didn't like it better than other games. Stray, I like the game, I really did, but it's literally one of those games that's like you play it once and it's kind of like, okay. I mean, I'll go back to Platinum, but it's like, I feel like it's one of those games that people only talked about for like maybe like a week or 2 when it came out, and then afterwards it's like, which isn't bad. Don't get me wrong. A lot of great games that I like were like that too, but I don't know. It just didn't leave an impression on me. It was like, it's still good. Don't get me wrong. I did tear up a bit, but it's like, didn't leave me too much of an impression. The Callisto Protocols. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it either. I'll be honest, as I was like, there's no way in hell this game is going to get on my top 10 unless the story kind of like blew me away, which it did not. It crashed twice on me too, by the way, during my live streams. I don't want to say series, but my live stream look at of it. So yeah, and I have nothing against the actors. Josh Duhamel's in there. All the other great actors in there are great as well. The story is very weak. Gameplay, I feel like, should have been tweaked a little bit better. And yeah, other than that, it's somewhat of a short game too, now that I think about it. But even then, it is what it is. Star Ocean: The Divine Force. I actually really like this game a lot. But there are issues I've had with it. The gameplay, not bad, but maybe I'm just not used to that kind of gameplay style with action points. I know I've played games like that before, but off the top of my head, I can't really recall them. And the story was actually pretty decent too. I do apologize that I did not get the Letitia side stuff out before the end of 2022. I know I said I was going to plan to do that, but it just didn't happen, and I apologize. It's still fun. It is one of those things that it's a little weird that they, like, I see the moments where it's like, oh, this would be different if you were playing Leticia, or this is the part that's different if you're playing as Raymond. I see those moments, and it's like, huh. I think another thing I'm also waiting on is New Game Plus. I feel like they should implement a New Game Plus in this game, which they don't, which I feel like they should. Because it's like, yeah, no, put a New Game Plus in there. I also like all the character endings, too, or like, you know, the chances of character endings. I think that's pretty cool. So, yeah. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. I liked it. It's not my first Warriors game. I think it's my third. My first one was Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which I really like that game. And then Strikers, Persona 5 Strikers, and I really like that game too. There's just something about this that it's like, I really like Three Houses. And then this comes out and it's like, I know it's like somewhat like an alternate reality or alternate timeline for it. But at the same time, I'm like, Three Houses is so good though. And I get it. That's probably why they made this, is because then they could all live happily ever after, no matter which side you pick type thing. Or at least for one side, I know they're like, oh, hey, at least they're alive. I don't know what it's like in the other routes. Although no matter what, depending on what route you are, someone's going to die on the other sides no matter what. So there's that. It's still enjoyable, though. Soul Hackers 2. I like the game. It's short, which isn't a bad thing. Music's good. Of course, it's an Atlas game. Atlas always has banner music. Characters are decent. Nothing to write home about with them. Demons are phenomenal as always. I love, you know, the fusion and all that stuff. There's just stuff with, you know, gameplay, stuff that's like, oh, this should have been a thing, like dashing. There should have been a dash. I know that's been there now. There's a few other skipping. Instead of fast forwarding, you can actually like skip animations or something in battle. There's another thing too. I can't remember. There's like, there's one other thing that was like, this is an issue that I'm not a big fan of. So hopefully that they put it in another patch or something. So we'll see. And last but not least, Bayonetta 3. That ending is what really like put it off my top 10. I like the gameplay of it. Honestly, the gameplay is fine. The story is somewhat decent. I don't think it's the best story. And then again, Bayonetta isn't really best known for its story. It's more so about its action JRPG aspects of it and all that stuff, which is fine. I love the new character that they introduced, although I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Viola. It's Viola. I liked her. But I don't think I liked her enough with what they did with her in the ending. I'm trying to do my best. And then, of course, the whole voice acting thing that happened. I don't know. It's a whole he said, she said bullshit thing. So, yeah, that really puts a damper in it, too. But again, although I love the Metal Gear Jean stuff, that was fun. Yeah, it's a fun game. Don't get me wrong. But it's just that ending. That ending is what really puts it down for me. I'm like, yeah, that's the ending, huh? I'm like, that's what they're going for with it, huh? I don't know. We'll see what they plan to do with Bayonetta in the future. So, will I cover a Bayonetta 4 if they release one? Probably. Maybe. We'll see. But anyway, that has been my honorable mentions games, guys. Let me know out of all these games which ones that you liked and which ones that were in your top 10. And let me know how you guys felt about them as a whole, too, because it's a lot of games. There's a lot of games. Like I said, if I wanted to, and then, of course, I'd also have to, you know, implement the whole remasters can be on the list, because I think that's the only reason I'd have 20 plus. And then I'd have to separate how I did with my number 10. I'd have to separate. What I did for number 10 was both Pokemon Legends Arceus and Pokemon Violet and Scarlet were both number 10 for watch the video and you'll know why. If I separate them, then for sure it would have been over 20. Then with all those other games that I mentioned that I didn't even buy or play, it would have been high up there. This was a good year for games. Good year for games, even the ones that I didn't play. Right there. So, all right, guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. Excuse me. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, let me know. And yeah, I'm looking forward to a lot of great games in 2023 here. A lot of great games. We have Final Fantasy 16. We have Tears of the Kingdom. We have Those are really the big ones. The possibility of Rebirth, even though I'm saying this right now, Rebirth will probably not make my top 10 games of 2023 because it is a remake / remaster of an old game. Or we'll see. Maybe if they do it so much differently, I will put it on the game. We'll see. But anyway, it's a big year for Final Fantasy, that's for sure. And everything else, so. Alright guys, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.